Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Monday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, so if you're seeing these videos, if you watched my last video, I talked about the tariffs. And at the end of that video, it's a Sigma Street Talk video. At the end of that video, I talked about how Trump supporters were throwing around the word lazy for people that don't support Elon Musk, and I wanted to talk about that because I think I'm anything but lazy, and I kind of want to talk about that. It's got to do with my recovery. All right. Another reason I started watching this movie, I haven't finished watching it yet. Yeah, I'm one of those people that shuts off a movie halfway through because I'm so freaking busy. And it's Gerard Butler and Family Man, okay? And he is crazy busy in this movie, like he's missing his family. He's missing out key moments in his family's lives. He's obsessively busy. So this all comes together. It's like fate, or all these things. And the video I talked about of Bo the Fifth Column and him getting burned out and taking a break from doing videos, and I did a video about that, talking about how it is a lot of work making these videos, and all those that all came together, and I want to talk about this. So, okay, so I've been clean and sober since October 23rd of 2006. Before that, I had been in and out of detoxes and rehabs, 13, 14, I lost track, maybe 15 times. I would stay in a detox for 3 to 5 to up to 30 days and then go to a rehab for 1 month to 6 months, and I did that like 13, 14 times. And I remember, this is when I first started hearing this. We would have meetings all throughout the day. They'd keep us busy in these detoxes and rehabs, like NA meetings and AA meetings, and meetings with people that had been through recovery, that had been through addiction. And they were talking about how you got to go to 90 days, 90 meetings in 90 days when you first get out, and that seemed like a lot to a lot of these people, well, I got it, so a lot of the people complained. A lot of the fellow patients that were in there with me started, complaining. Wasn't that a lot? I got other stuff to do, and I'm going to have a busy life when I get out of here. All these typical addict excuses. They're always in such a big hurry, but they're not doing anything. And this is what the counselor said. He said, what about when you were using? All the motivation, every day you had to get up and get your drugs, because I was a heroin addict. And it's the truth. It literally becomes a full-time job. And he said, what about, you did what you had to do every single day to get that drug back when you were using. So conversely, you can do what you need to do and go to meetings and, every single day. If you could do it back then, you could do it now. And I heard the counselor say this, and I was like, damn, if that ain't the truth, man, I don't know what is. And I started to think about this, this was typical opiate addict behavior, because you were constantly fighting getting sick. Like the first time you used that drug, it hooked you. I mean, right from the first time, I was literally, physically, mentally, emotionally addicted to the drug. Literally. It'll grab you the first time, but you might not realize it. And you're constantly, you get that high, but then after that, you're constantly fighting just to be functional, just to stay off sick, as some addicts call it. So I remember, seriously, I remember a snowstorm, and my car, I had to go pick up, I was like every 12 hours, I had to go score again to get another 5 bags, another 3 bags, or whatever I could steal or borrow money to get. Every 12 hours, every 6 hours, around the clock. And there's snowstorms here in Connecticut. And I remember getting 2 feet of snow, 24 inches of snow, and I was running out. I had to go get some more, and my car got stuck in the driveway. They hadn't plowed yet. It's the middle of this blizzard. I can't get out. I try to get out in my little car. It gets stuck in the driveway in the snow. I just leave it there, and I literally walked through a blinding snowstorm. It was a good 6 miles from my house right to the edge of the city where there were projects, where where one of my dealers, my closest dealer, lived. And I trudged through the snow. By the time I got to his house, I was soaked to the bone. If you've ever been in a blizzard before, you're soaked to the bone, blinding, blinding snow, not to mention trudging through the deep snow and everything like that. I got it, and then I went back. If I remember right, it was $20. It was like 2 bags, and it took me like 3 hours to walk literally through a blizzard to get that. And that's what I had to do. I did what I had to do every single day. It took so much motivation, so much energy, so much drive to do that. So I started thinking about what that counselor said. I'll be damned. If I took that energy and that motivation and I used it when I was clean, if I held myself to that same degree of energy and motivation and used that for good purposes, for constructive purposes, for painting, for working out, for exercising, for praying, for meditating, for making YouTube videos. And that's exactly what I do now. And now I'm used to operating at that level. I'm going to tell you, this is the God's honest truth of what my average day is. That's another thing is, I don't know if a lot of addicts are like this, but I fear change. Everything is going so good in my life. I'm happy and I don't want anything to change. Before, my life was complete chaos and mayhem, and I didn't do anything at the same time, and everything was all over the place. Now it's the opposite. Everything is scheduled, and I make sure I'm doing the same thing every day at the same time. I don't want to be late. I don't want to be behind schedule. My family goes, you don't have, I work for myself. They're like, you don't have to, you don't have to be anywhere. Why are you so obsessive about this? Okay, so this is my actual day. I actually wake up now at 1:30 a.m. And I say my prayers. First thing I do, about 10-15-minute prayers and meditation. Then I start going through my phone and looking through different apps for what's going on in the news, what's going on in TMZ, to get a story, to get up some ideas for my YouTube video. I get up, I make my bed, clean the house, I get my workout, my weights together for whichever rotating workout I'm doing that day. I make the video. Usually I'm done making the video by 4 a.m. That's when I start my workout. This is what I do every day. 4 a.m. I start my first workout with weights or pull-ups or push-ups here in the apartment. And I do that till 5:15 for an hour to 90 minutes. Then I go for a 1-hour walk, 3.5 miles, 365 days a year, whether it's raining or snowing, around the city here. That's where I do my Sigma Street Talk. 3.5 miles to 1 hour. I get back here at 6 a.m. I text my mother every day. And then I have breakfast. And then I go down to the weight room here in my building at 7:30 and get on the treadmill and do weights and get on the weight machine there for an hour, 90 minutes there. Then I come back up, take a shower at 9 a.m., get on my bike, my mountain bike, and I go for a 10 to 15 mile ride around here until 10 a.m. Get back here, and then I start my painting, my actual work day, where I start painting and doing whatever I have to do, going on eBay or putting my paintings up for sale, or looking for different prospects for making money, or exhibits or whatever. Sometimes I'll go for a second bike ride at noon or at 2 p.m. Usually I finish up my day around 3 p.m. and I fall asleep. Around 7 p.m. and that's my day every day. So I keep obsessively busy, and this has worked for me. And keeping busy, like they say, idle hands is the devil's workshop. Well, that's the truth. Hey, if you just saw a little break in the video, I actually ran out. I've been making so many videos, I actually ran out of memory on my video camera. So this is the end of the video anyway. So I hope you enjoyed it. Recovery is possible. Have a good Monday.